Hey, welcome back to Lil Ritual. Today I have a special guest, my sister, Isabel.
Hey, hello
So
there.
we're gonna do a little get ready with me chit chat, mental health version. So I feel like this is a very important topic to be introducing into my channel. We've already talked about it a little bit, but since this is what I'm studying and this is something I feel like all of us go through on a daily basis, it's a great topic. So we're just gonna do a little makeup morning routine while we chat.
I'm excited.
Right.
Gonna sip my San Pellegrino.
So, as many of you know, I am studying to become a therapist, specifically an expressive arts therapist. And that's basically using the arts as a therapeutic method to sort of find subconscious thoughts and feelings in artwork that you make. And my sister is an artist, so I thought it would be relevant to ask, how does your art affect your well being, whether in a negative or positive way?
I think that's a great question. And I was actually thinking about that while talking to our cousin in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I told him for the first time that I've been going through depression since high school, and he
Uh-huh.
asked me, how do I get through it? And the first thing I thought of, and that I always think of, is my photography. Because my photography became like kind of my resting place for when I was depressed in college. It really resonates with me, my photography, because it allows me to enjoy the beauty in the world and kind of be open. And my slogan, I guess, is open your eyes to see. You really have to take some time in order to meditate on the world and see all the beauty in all the ordinary things. And like when
Mm.
you're depressed, you're kind of in like this hole or like this tunnel vision. Um, and I really wanted to get out of that by using my photography. And it really has helped me just to be more open to the world and just not being closed off and just trying to see things in a beautiful light. Just things that are ordinary, you can always find beauty everywhere in the world.
I really like what you said about finding beauty in the ordinary because I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
narrative therapy class, which is basically everything that we perceive about the world, about ourselves, about other people have to do with stories,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like stories that we've created for ourselves. I watched this interview with a narrative therapist, and they said to exoticize the domestic, not to domestic.
Domesticize the exotic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Because
because I
yeah,
I realized I used to work in marketing and
yeah,
the reason and I was thinking about this week and like the reason why I don't want to work in marketing is it's all about happiness. It's only one sided, and we always try and capitalize on the trends and stuff like that. I also read this quote in Dorothea Lange's book, and she's the woman who did the image in the Great Depression of that woman, and so
Oh,
that's an
yeah.
iconic photo. But the iconicism of the photo is because it's been circulated everywhere. But the meaning of the image is lost when everyone knows about it. It's trendicized.
Right. It loses its meaning.
And the whole thing about narratives, like photography is a narrative,
Hmm.
and with therapy, you're always telling a narrative, and you're trying to always connect with people or a certain person. We're social human beings, and when you're depressed, you can kind of only see yourself. And it's important to connect with people in order to get out of that funk.
So, going off of just the little things in life, like the ordinary things, what is something that you do in your routine? What is a ritual, like something small in your life that helps you on a daily basis?
Well, I've been doing a lot of self care lately, And the first thing that comes to mind to me is my journal. And actually, not my journal, it's my planner, because I don't know, I like to plan everything. And when I was depressed, tasks became really hard. But what I've been trying to do is just try and use my planner to congratulate myself on certain things.
Oh my god, I do that too. We have the
So,
same
for
planner, by the
example,
way.
yeah, we have the same planner, and we also are wearing Japangelis.
Oh
That's right.
yeah, not sponsored.
So, for example, I'll show you the page that I have for this week. I put little stars on every day. So these stars I will fill them in with one thing that I did that I enjoyed today. Most of them is hanging out with friends, which is
Yeah.
really good, especially when you're trying to connect with people. And I also on the top of every week I write down usually three things on the top, and I try and do those things every day. And when I do them, I just put a check mark, and
So,
it
like, for
just
the week, you pick something?
yeah. And if I don't do it, I just leave it blank. I don't like do like you didn't do it.
Yeah, you don't penalize yourself.
Yeah. So that's been really helpful just to have like some type of structure to my day, but not too much. And I only put things that I really want to do that will help me, not things like go to work or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, because people have asked me about my calendar, and I'm like, it's not a calendar as in my schedule. It's like it's not even tasks. I wouldn't even call it tasks. It's like little achievements.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
I've been trying to not use the word tasks anymore because
yeah,
it was really like kind of messing me up. I would basically wake up and go to sleep just doing tasks all day.
yeah. In my notebook, I've been choosing 3 symbols that I use a week. I usually write everything that I do that day or things that stood out to me. And then
Mm.
I'll code a symbol next to things that either represent love, good job, and trigger or like trauma or stress. So the first one, I usually put it next to people or like even self love. Like if I did my makeup really nice one day and it helped me love myself, then I put a heart next to it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And so with my therapist, something that I was working on was being really hard on myself and like not giving myself enough credit for what I do. So I'll put a smiley face next to good job, something that I would like to congratulate myself for doing. So if I studied that day or if I posted something on Depop or if I went outside, then I'll put good job, like you did that.
That's good.
So I'll get a happy face. I was buying happy face stickers like that teachers have, like good job stickers or like
Yeah.
you're awesome or like great effort. I would get those stickers and just put them on myself when I,
That's
I
awesome.
needed to remind myself to like congratulate myself.
That kind of reminds me of this thing that our brother sent us, our 14-year-old brother, and he's very smart, and
He's a
he's
genius.
he's he's a genius. He knows how to use Reddit, and I don't know how to use Reddit. And so he found this like thread that was talking about no 0 days, and the most important part of it is knowing that there's three of you. There's your past self, your present self, and your future self. And we always talk to ourselves, right? And sometimes we put ourselves down and we're like, oh, I didn't do anything today. And the thing is, we have to learn how to have accountability for ourselves, but also congratulate ourselves. So, no 0 days means there's not going to be another day where I do nothing. I'm going to do something, even if it's small. And I'm going to congratulate my past self if I've done something in the past. So, if I jump rope for 5 minutes yesterday, I give myself a pat on the back because thank you, past self, for taking care of my body.
Exactly. We often do not acknowledge how far we've come. If you really look back at your past self, like for example, if I looked back on myself before I started grad school, I was like a total mess. I was just diagnosed with lupus. I thought like my whole future was just like over and that I wasn't going to be able to actually go to school, that I couldn't hold a job anymore. And like within a year and a half, 2 years, I've done so much, and still on a daily basis, I kind of beat myself up. Like, you could have did this better. You could study harder. You could do better in school. Like, you could be making more money. But if I really look at myself 2 years ago and see where I am now, I'm just like, what? I'm killing it.
Yeah. Congratulate yourself.
Exactly. So actually, that gets into another question that I have. What is your past and present relationship with mental health? And kind of figure in what kind of resources you considered or you didn't consider in the past that maybe you're now using.
I think this is really relevant to what I've been experiencing recently. And I feel like my relationship with depression has been pretty much stagnant for a long time, especially because last year I was really depressed. Like, I was pretty much depressed for the entire year. And when I first started college, that's when I was really aware of my depression, and I was able to get out of it by staying close with my best friends and using them as a support, and also my photography. But I always felt, I'm gonna be depressed all my life, and this is gonna be something I'm gonna have to battle all the time. And so it's kind of like a demon that I have to, a demon child living inside me that I have to, like, push away, or, like, find something new to do in order to put that past away. And now I kind of see it more as like a part of me that is is not something that I have to push away. It's just kind of half of me that lives there, and I could draw it for you. It's probably better if I draw it.
Hey, art therapy.
Yeah, let me just have a pen right here. So this illustration really helped me last year figure out like what my depression is and what it looks like. I'm a Gemini, so we got two sides. So I always see like the dichotomy of stuff. So this is me, and this is my depression. So your depression is kind of like your shadow. It just follows you around, and sometimes it meshes. So sometimes it's one, and so you can't see yourself. You're just the depression, but you have to start to separate it. You have to see it as, hey, like that's my depression. Like, why are you trying to like be me? You're just my shadow. And the last thing that I think the resources that have just come to me recently is going to a psychiatrist, going to therapy. I was going to therapy last year, but it was really great. But my therapist broke up with me because she graduated. But good for her.
Yeah.
So I have been looking for a psychiatrist and a therapist for quite some time, but like with insurance, it was really hard. But now I have insurance, and now I have a psychiatrist and a therapist soon to come. And I think the one thing that has helped me so much is being accountable and taking my medication on time, and not, smoking too much weed, because that's an antidepressant. I'm actually quitting right now, so I'm in the process of that. So all of that is really important to just use the resources that you have. There's a lot of resources out there. For example, NAMI is a national organization for mental health, mental illnesses, and you can go to any of their support groups. And I find that it's really enlightening to go to a therapy support group. I know a lot of people are not very comfortable doing that, but people are afraid to go to therapy because they think like, oh, this is gonna consume my life. I don't want to see all those nasty things that are in my head and that other people experience. But actually, when you go there, it's kind of like you get to release, and you get to put those traumas in the past, because you get to talk about them with people listen, and they have their own trauma, so they're not really judging you. And then you go out back into the world, and you like, I don't have to deal with this anymore because I already dealt with it, and you feel better. So I think that's something that I want to tell a lot of other people about, because we're trying to let go of that mental illness stigma. And if I can give my experience to others, like, it really does help.
It does.
What about you? What are your resources? How do you get through it?
Well, my relationship with therapy, at least, has been like a weird road, I guess, because I started seeing a therapist, I would say, because I was mandated to, like in school, you have to go to therapy to become a therapist. And I was almost resistant to it in the beginning,
Really?
which is really strange to me because I'm spending so much money to become a therapist and like investing in this field. And for myself, I was even hesitant to go. And I mean, that has to do with just, I guess, fear of like facing my shit. But, I'm currently seeing a therapist that I am on my way out of the relationship pretty much because I wanted something different from therapy. So in the beginning, when I started with this therapist, I thought I wanted to make all my problems go away. I wanted to feel better. And that was my intention of going to therapy. And since I've been with this therapist for a year, we've sort of decided like it's time for me to move on because I was realizing I would come to therapy every week and just give my therapist the problem of the week.
Yeah, like the lowdown.
In a way that seems good, like I'm staying in the present. But it honestly started to feel like I wasn't actually processing what I needed. I was living mental health paycheck to paycheck, if that makes sense. Like I was only handling my day to day stuff,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really handling like my deeper traumas or like it sounds so cliche, but really so much of our shit comes from our childhood.
It's true. I've been
And
telling people that.
it's so true. And like I've been wanting to go more into that instead of just like, hey, this person said this to me this week and it pissed me off and let's talk about it. So it's helped me get through this year, but I want to get past where I am. Like I feel like I'm staying in one place. So I feel like I'm growing in what I want from a therapist and I want to be challenged more. So my goal is to find a therapist that challenges me, that doesn't just appease me and doesn't just align with me so that I feel better. You know what I mean? Like somebody who's always validating me. That's what my therapist would do. She would just constantly validate me, which is, I think what I needed last year. But this year, I need someone to be questioning what I'm doing, questioning how I'm thinking, more than just saying, you're valid in feeling that way.
Yeah. And it's crazy because we think of therapists as like, oh, they just listen to us, like what's the big deal? And it's like, no, you can ask your therapist for things that you need. And even if you get into an argument with your therapist, it's really great to talk about it.
Oh, it's so
You
good.
need to, because it could be a trigger towards your other traumas.
Exactly. And it's a safe space to do that. If you can get in an argument with your therapist, then it teaches you how to confront people in your real life in a constructive way too, because they're gonna work through it with you. Hopefully, you have a good therapist who won't just like snap back at you. They usually will be calm and say, where is this emotion coming from? Like, what do you think triggered this? How can we manage this in the future?
Because they're also people, you know?
They
They're people in
are.
your life. I usually don't put that much eyeshadow on, but since yours is like that, I'm gonna do that.
We're supposed to do an everyday look.
I'm doing my pink look, you're doing your yellow look. Coordination.
This is also another thing that I've been trying to figure out the connection between fashion or beauty and psychology. Like how we express on a daily basis also influence our mental health. And I've watched a lot of YouTubers who say, they're self-employed, so they get to stay at home and work from home. And one of the biggest things that helps them stay focused is getting dressed in the morning, even if they're just going to stay at home.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Put on those pants. I don't really do that, but
I know I
don't
like
put my pants on.
to make that connection because I'm in the field of psychology, but I am also working to build my own brand and my own business based on fashion. And to me, fashion is beyond just superficial and materialistic. It definitely can be, but for me, clothes have helped me throughout my whole life find confidence in myself, creativity, even
Identity.
exploring my gender was all through clothes and like how I cut my hair and like how I do my makeup, and that's definitely something I want to explore and bring to the field of mental health. I think it would be cool to be like a therapist slash stylist
Yeah.
and like personalize people's
Oh,
expression.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like, there's so many different ways to do art therapy. Now that I've been more exposed to like entrepreneurial type people, you realize that you can do
Mm-hmm.
anything in life, and you can help people any way you want. In this day and age, you can really mold your life through whatever kind of means, whether it's fashion and therapy, or
Mm-hmm.
photography and mental health,
Uh
or
huh.
anything, music and whatever your interest is. You can always help people in any way.
Yeah, and that's why I like expressive arts therapy because they reframe art as something that's not just a commodity, not just a product to make money. It's like a vehicle. If we can get out of the mindset of just like capitalizing on what we create and instead still make money off of it, but with the intention of helping others, I think
Yeah, we definitely have to
society
go
could
that way.
just really benefit from that. I mean, also the exclusivity of art has also, I feel like, been a detriment to society.
Definitely.
Everyone's trying to be like the most creative, the most original when
It's not possible.
yeah, it's not possible first of all, and it separates people.
I think one of the most important things about like being an artist is to be inspirational.
Yeah.
And it's inspirational in a way of not like, oh, I want to. I mean, it's natural to want to be like someone, um, but thinking, oh, I want to be this person for a good reason. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be like this person because they're doing this and they're helping people, or they're doing this and they're making me feel connected. And like,
Hmm.
not just like, oh, I want to be this person because they're so fucking dope.
Yeah, and trying to make things exclusive and like not replicable is not really helping anyone. Like if you create something that can be replicated and
Yes.
often like let's say products like Supreme. Supreme is super expensive because it's exclusive, but it's honestly so simple and easy to replicate that the brand itself doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
It's
It's
it's the feeling that it gives you, you know? So if we can change the production of art to be something that's exclusive to something that we can replicate very easily and spread that feeling, I think that would make such a greater impact.
I agree. It's even something that my life coach told me because she's allowing me to be mentored by her for free. But the
Mm-hmm.
only thing that she wants me to do is after I finish my whole thing, I have to do it for someone else. I have to help someone
Pay it forward.
get their pay it forward. And I think that pay it forward idea should just be like the grounding force for everything, because then you just like
Yeah,
proliferate into like amazingness.
exactly.
I'm really excited about that.
So, if you care to share something really big happened to you in your life recently,
Mm-hmm.
and you spent some time at a behavioral health center, what was the most important thing that you learned from that experience? And if you can give some backstory.
Yeah, we just finished this eyeliner. Gotta get that wing right.
No, I haven't worn eyeliner in years, but I just got like a free sample for my birthday from Sephora.
Oh,
I'm like,
nice. Yeah, let's do it. I remember people used to always say, Bree, your makeup, it looks so good.
I know, I was the wing liner queen.
So yeah, back to the topic of going to a behavioral mental health facility, I can give a backstory first. I was going through a lot of changes in my life and good changes, trying to take care of myself after a year of being really depressed. So I started to believe in really amazing things, but it was actually me going through a manic depressive episode. So I would like to say that this was like the last straw of my depression that had to be
Yeah.
released. I actually admitted myself into the facility because I just wanted to make sure I was safe and that I knew I wasn't taking my medications on time, so I wanted to get some help on that. So one of the things that I learned that's very important is take your medication on time and
Yeah.
talk to your doctors, and your doctor is there to help you. I was there for 6 days, so a lot of the things that they told me was, if you're feeling bad, you have to tell us. We don't want you to just sit there and wallow in your anxiety or your bad feelings. We want to help you. It's not that they're trying to tell you what to do. They just want to find the best solution for you. And if you're, depressed, it's really hard for you to find your own solutions. So, being in that place where there was less triggers of the outside world, I gotta just focus on myself, focus on the people around me, and I just learned I just learned so much from those people that were there. It's like little things that they said, finding the magic in the ordinary conversations you have with people.
Yeah.
Um, People would say, when you get out of here, you know what to do, or oh, you should do these like exercises to massage your muscles, like this. Just massage all your body, and just those little things I'm bringing into my life now. Now that I'm outside in the real world, and sometimes you need to get in tune with your body again, and in tune with like the little things you need to do in order to take baby steps to get better. So it was kind of a drastic thing that happened, but I don't see it as setback. I see it as something that allowed me to just like step aside and help other people. I mean, like help myself first, but
Yeah.
also be there for other people who are going through similar things.
As Kanye would say,
I'm
how to break
free.
through, not a breakdown.
Yeah, but you can also learn from Kanye. You gotta take your medications in
Yeah.
order to survive, or else you might do something really crazy. You might be hospitalized. So just take care of yourself, and then all your genius ideas can flourish.
Exactly. And medication's hard because, like, I feel like everyone's gone through a journey where they've gone in and out of medications that worked for them, that didn't work for them, that had crazy side effects. To have the right resources, you really need like a whole team. And that doesn't have to be all professionals. That can be like your friends and family, people looking out for you, your teachers, your mentors, and your doctors, your psychiatrists, and your therapists. So it's a whole, it's a community. I mean, they call it community mental health for a reason because it really takes a village.
Yeah.
But that's not something we should feel guilty about. I learned the difference between codependence, independence, and interdependence. So we live in America, and it's an individualistic society. America prides itself on being self sufficient, in being independent, but sometimes that means sacrificing your interdependence. And there's a whole movement about not wanting to be codependent. Like, codependent is a bad word. If you're
Yeah,
too reliant on your partner or your parents or whatever.
it's true.
But there's a way to be interdependent, to rely on others because they also rely on you. And that's what community is. And I think we're losing that.
Oh, definitely. It's even like people think we're crazy to want to have communal based society where like we have plant like a garden in our community.
Community garden.
People don't want that, and it's like they think that people are gonna capitalize on it or like steal. We have to teach each other how to be more communal and be more helpful towards one another, but not make people greedy. Like we have to do it in a
Mm-hmm.
way that empowers other people, to do things and to work together and not just be one-sided. Being interdependent.
So, last question. Are there any books that you would recommend? Self-help books or something that's helped you recently?
Yeah. I have 2 books that I'm reading. I don't read too much. I read parts of books and then I forget to read the rest. I'll actually show 3 books because there's one that I want to talk about. I'll show you one that actually I gifted it to someone in the hospital because my dad had brought me this book when he was visiting, and I was really interested because I had the book. My life coach gave it to me, and so I just left it on the table, and this guy went up to me. He's like, "Whose book is this? Like, can I read it?" And I was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And eventually, I was about to leave, and I was like, "Hey, you want the book? Do you really like it? Like, you can have it." He was like very flustered. He's like, if you could give it to me, if you could, I would really like to read it.
Oh.
And it's called The Untethered Soul: The Journey Beyond Yourself. And this is a really good book for everyone to read because it's not about science. It's not about philosophy. It's all about you and like what's going on in your brain and what is it that we all experience that we kind of need to capture of ourselves. I've only gone through like a few pages, but I'm really excited to read this. Another book that I have not finished, but I'm in the process of reading. It's called The Bell Jar.
Oh,
Yes.
Summer loves that book.
Really?
Yeah.
It's about this girl who, in college, and it's in first person, and she kind of goes through this like superficial kind of experience in New York when she gets like a scholarship, and she's kind of different from everyone else, and she's just trying to get through life. And I haven't gone through the whole book, so I'm not really sure what it entails, but I do find that it's about kind of like coming of age and also mental health, and I think that's a really interesting book to read if you like fiction. So it's kind of like in the mental health sphere. And then the one
Cool.
that I read a couple pages of, I skimmed through it, but I know that you read this, and you gave it to me. It's called Breaking Down is Waking Up.
Yes.
So you want to talk about this?
Yeah, it's so cool. Basically, it talks about how mental health, when you have a mental health issue, it's really signaling something in you to make a change. And he has this diagram that's something like a spiral. And so the cycle of nature is it's like a spiral. And it says like at one point within the spiral is when you wake up, is like when you find a solution to something. And so he says you can take a quick route like medication or something that speeds up the process. You can get to waking up, but you'll easily come back to experiencing the problem. But if you take the long, roundabout way, if you go clockwise towards solving your problem and you go through all the trials and tribulations, then you'll actually end up at a place that is sustainable. You know, a lot of us do quick fixes. You know, it could be drugs, it could be not even just medication, but just like self-medicating with like substances can get you to feel better. And so you'll go counterclockwise real quick and you'll feel better, but it's not sustainable. You have to go through the process of breaking down and feeling like totally lost before you can actually sustain your solid mental health. So it's basically it's giving you good reasons for not feeling guilty about going through that process. You know, it's actually so beneficial. Like you said, when you went to the hospital, it wasn't a setback. You know, it was kind of a huge drastic thing that you had to go through, but it stabilized you in the end. It shook you so hard that you felt stable.
Yeah. But also like going back to that point of I like the spiral thing, and a lot of people say I'm spiraling, you know.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
Yeah, one thing that always sticks with me, that my life coach told me is that we have two things. We have our head and we have our heart. But we always listen to our head. It's a very long journey from the head to the heart. It's really hard to listen to what's going on here. And putting that in perspective, I don't see it as, since it's a long journey, it's so close together. But we
Yeah.
have to spiral down to really listen to what our heart's saying and not pay attention to that monkey brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Wow.
Cool.
That was great.
Yeah, so thanks for joining me. Maybe we'll turn this into a series because I feel like there's so much more that we can dive into. I hope everyone enjoyed our first mental health get ready with me.
And I'm gonna do my stay hydrated.
Oh, yeah. All right. Thanks for sticking around. See you next time.
Bye.